Take a moment to look around you. See all these headstones, all these memorials. Yeah, all shapes, all sizes, all different kinds of stone. Who do you think made those? I'll tell you, someone like me, a stonecutter. That's what I did for all of my life, from the time I was a young man where I grew up. There was a place called Silesia. You've never heard of it, it's okay. It's Poland now, but in 1922, when I was born, it was Germany. My father, he was a stonecutter. I worked with him from the time I was a boy. It was hard work too. There were no machines back then. You had hand tools and you had to pay attention, yeah? If you hurt yourself, if you're not careful. But I learned my trade good. I spent 3 years in a quarry and then 3 more in a technical school to get my degree as a stonemason, a stonemason. I wanted to go on for 2 more, but when I was 19 years old, the German army takes me. See, I had already been in the Hitlerjugend, the Hitler Youth. It was like the Boy Scouts. It was, really. Making campfires and singing German songs. But you had to join, see? No choice. They wanted to put the propaganda in your head, huh? Germany is the best, Hitler is the best, Aryan people are the best. It's all you'd ever hear. So in 1941, I am drafted into Arbeitsdienst. It's a workforce for digging ditches and making strong the riverbanks and repairing roads. I do this for 6 months before the army drafts me. At that moment, we made the pledge to Germany. There was nothing that you wouldn't do for the fatherland, for the flag. You'd even die for it. So now I'm in Alsace, France. 7th Regiment, 62nd Infantry Division. I spent 7 months in basic training in infantry and learning to be ski patrol. When we were finished from Alsace, they drove us by train. It was right past where I had learned my trade as a granite cutter. Now, these were not Pullman wagons, they were like cattle cars, straw on the floor, 40 men in each one. As soon as we traveled past the German border, the whole battalion, 1,200 men, were given orders. Load your rifles and put on the safety. You see, there were guerrillas and partisans everywhere. We had to be on the lookout, always. So then we went on past through Poland and on to Kharkov in Ukraine, and then to the Russian front. Things were not going well. You see, we're in Stalingrad, and it's a huge battle. You know this, it's famous. And the Russians, they are fighting like crazy, and we're not getting anywhere. And the summer of 1942 starts to fade, and the winter grows near. The temperature drops, and we don't have the right clothes. Some men are getting frostbite. I am one of them. My toes are turning black because I wore my boots too tight. Cuts off the blood flow, see? They sent me from the front lines to a hospital in Poland for treatment. Lucky for me, it works. I still have my toes. My brother Eric is not so lucky. He finds a Russian soldier's felt lining from his boots and he puts them on. When he is captured, the Russians say he is wearing a Russian uniform and they shoot him on the spot. When I recover from my frostbite, I am sent to Italy, and late one night, November 6, 1945, east of Cassino, I am captured by British troops. I had just seen a British soldier step on a landmine, and it was under a fruit tree. I had been under that same fruit tree only hours before them. I was interrogated by a British captain. He asked me time after time if I was a convinced Nazi. I replied, what would you do if all you ever heard was one-sided propaganda from the German government? You have to be convinced. He accepted this answer and never mistreated me. A few days later, we were handed over to the American Army and shipped from Naples to Norfolk, Virginia. Conditions on board were not good. Poor sanitation, see? There were attacks from German U-boats during the voyage. How strange if they had sunk our ship, huh? When we reached America, we were astonished by the high standard of living. We had always been told that America was a primitive place, But look at these buildings, these cars, these clothes. Once again, we were loaded onto trains, but these were not cattle cars. No, they had seats and clean lavatories. We reached our first camp in Illinois late at night. It had been raining pretty hard, and we were surprised by the barracks. They were clean and dry. The guards were friendly, the food was good, and we were amazed when President Franklin D. Roosevelt apologized when a flood on the Mississippi River delayed our rations. In our free time, we played foosball, what you call soccer, huh? We organized musical groups, we played card games like scat. We built a shortwave radio to keep up with the news. I went to a camp near Lodi, Wisconsin. I worked on a farm there, picking fruit and vegetables. One day I would work at a canning company in Columbus. On Friday afternoons, a company truck, they would pick us up and take us into town to get a barrel of beer to bring back to the camp. One time we draped a German flag over the truck. The sheriff, he wanted to know what the heck was going on. Caused a bit of a ruckus. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Everywhere we went, we ran into people of German heritage. Almost everywhere we heard, "Ja, ich spreche Deutsch." They would give us food and coffee, and we were all putting on weight. By the time the war was over, I had gained 40 pounds. We were keeping up with the news on the radio, and it was clear that Germany was going to lose the war. We all wondered what would happen when it was all over. 1945, September, the war ended, and we were sent back to Europe. I thought I would go to Germany, but the French army takes me and forces me into farm labor. I did that for 2 years in very bad conditions. In 1948, I finally returned to my girlfriend, Emily. But there was no life for us in Germany. The war had broken the country, see? So we got married and made plans to immigrate. The farmer from Lodi, he sponsored us. We got our visas to come to the United States in 1952. We immediately enrolled in English classes while we worked on the farm. We became citizens. I said the Pledge of Allegiance, but I never said it again. If you have to say it more than once, well, maybe it didn't mean it's the first time, huh? That's integrity. You say your word, you keep your word. Emily and I wanted more than the farm could give us. We wanted a family, see? So I took a job as a stonecutter, and before long I had my own business. We had a son, Gerhard, who would later take over the company. We wanted to find ways to repay this country for what it had given to us. And I started building memorials and war monuments. You can see them all over the state. In 1986, I repaired a memorial right here in Forest Hill Cemetery that had been vandalized. I did it for free, but the story, it attracted some media attention, and I got recognition from the Madison Veterans Council and the Wisconsin Officers Club, and a letter from President Ronald Reagan. I also received an honorary Purple Heart citation from the American government. At the time, I was the only known German soldier to have this in the United States. You know, one of the smaller jobs that I did had a much bigger impact on me as a person. You see, I didn't know about the concentration camps until I was a POW here in America. Of course, I felt shame, but I never spoke publicly about it. I was doing some work here, Temple Bethel in Madison, and I met the rabbis there, Manfred Swarzensky. We got to talking and soon formed a friendship. He had been a prisoner as well, and so we had something in common. He and his family only lived a couple of blocks from us. He wasn't a handyman, but Gerhard would often stop by the house to fix little things. The rabbi and I remained close for the rest of his life. We proved that it's possible for people of goodwill to overcome their differences, whether they were American POWs in Germany or German POWs in America. They were caught up in events they could not control. They were just trying to survive, and hopefully when the hostilities would be all over, they could go back to living their lives again. That's all they wanted. As the rabbi said, to endure, people must build bridges, not walls. Fitting words for memorial, don't you think?